Good morning to all of you. My name is Parvez Ahmed Mir. I have done my masters in the subject of zoology from the University of Garhwal, Uttarakhand in year 2014. I am very passionate about teaching. I have a teaching experience of over 6 years, and from the last 6 years I have been teaching students of different curriculums like NEET, Olympiads, NCRT, CBSE across the country on different platforms. In addition to this, I have a YouTube channel by the name of the Maze Bio World with over 1K subscribers. And currently, I am working as a doubt solver in the Philo as well as in the Vidyala classes. I want to join the Unacademy because Unacademy is India's largest online learning platform, and it provides quality education to the students. That's why I want to choose the Unacademy. I want to join the Unacademy in order to help the students and give them the quality education in order to achieve their goals. Now, today I'm going to share you the syllabus plan of the 11th class biology. Now, the whole biology of the class 11th has been divided into 20 chapters, and I have just formulated a plan that how which unit will require how many hours will require which unit. Okay, so the first unit is, or the first chapter is, living world. Now the first chapter, living world, it will require only 4 hours for the completion. As my experience, as to my experience, that living world requires only 4 hours for the completion. And in this chapter, there are three important topics. One is diversity in the living organisms, where we are going to study about the characteristics of the living organisms. What are the main characteristics of the living organisms? What are the defining features? What are non-defining features? And this is very important. Then there is another important topic in this is taxonomic categories. Now most of the students are very confused about this topic, taxonomic categories. Even the students are not able to differentiate between the taxon and the rank, category and the rank. So whenever I will take the unit, you will find it very interesting there. And the last one is the taxonomical aids. The taxonomical aids is a very short topic, and it will just get completed into 15 to 20 minutes. Taxonomical aids. So this is for the living world. And for the NEET examination, this unit is very important. This chapter is very important. Now after this, there is biological classification. The chapter number second is biological classification. Biological classification is, in comparison to the living world, biological classification is a bit lengthy unit, and it will require 4 hours for the completion. In this unit, we are going to study about the introduction, and in the introductory part, we will study about or discuss about the different types of the classification systems, kingdom systems. That is two kingdom system classification, three kingdom system classification, fourth system, five system classification. And after that, we will study about the most important is that five kingdom classification, which was given by the Whitaker. We will study about the five kingdoms, and we will go with one by one kingdom, and we will study about the characteristics of those kingdoms. And the last is the viruses, viruses, and the lichens. This is a very short topic, and it will require only 10 to 15 minutes for the completion. So this biological classification, for the NEET perspective, it's very important because it will gain you will gain 2 to 3 questions from this unit. And from for the board perspective, that always there comes a question from the kingdoms that give the characters of the kingdom protista, like this. So there is another unit that is called as the structural organizations animals, a bit dry unit to all the students. They students think that this unit is very dry. They found this unit very dry, but when I will take this unit, you will find it very 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 easy. You will enjoy this unit because this unit is full of the topics, full of the concepts. So in this unit, we are going to study about the introductory part of the structural organization animals. What is the complexity in the organelles, cellular, then all those things. And then after that, we will study about the types of the animal tissues. How many types of the animal tissues are found in animals, and we will go one by one. That's epithelial, nervous. Then there is connective tissue is there, muscular tissue is there. We have to go with the characteristics of those tissues. Then after this, there is the last topic is the morphology and the anatomy of the earthworm, cockroach, and frog. And for the board perspective, this topic is important. And in comparison to the NEET, most of the questions will come from not this unit will not gain much two questions. At one question will come from the animal tissues or from the earthworm. So this is about the structure organism. Then another chapter is plant kingdom. Now plant kingdom is very important. It comes in the botany part. It's very important. It is a lengthy unit. It requires 4 hours, but it's very easy. It's lengthy but very easy. In this unit we have to study about the different divisions. Plant kingdom has been divided into different divisions. Algae is there, bryophytes are there, gymnosperms are there, angiosperms, and the most important is the plant life cycle, in which we are going to study about the haplontic life cycle, diplontic life cycle, and the haplodiplontic life cycle. It's very important for the NEET examination. You will get 2 to 3 questions from this unit. After the plant kingdom, there's animal kingdom. Now animal kingdom is also a very lengthy unit, and it is based on the two topics mainly: basis of classification, in which we will study that this bilateral symmetry. We will study about the level of organization. We will study simply about the those characters which form the basis of classification. And after this there will be the classification of animals up to the class level. Okay, up to the class level we have to study about the classification of animals. That means animal kingdom has been divided into 11 phylums. Then the every phylum has a class. So we will study about the classification of animals up to class level in this unit. So it will require only 4 hours. After that there is morphology of the flowering plants. So in the morphology of the flowering plants, very easy unit, very easy. It comes under the botany, and it requires only 4 hours for the completion. In this unit we are going to study about the morphology of the roots, stem, leaf, fruit, flower, seeds, and the families. And most important is that from the families section you will find out a question from the families section. This families section you will find a question from the families section in the NEET, and it's very important. Then after that there is cell, the unit of life. Now cell is very shorter unit as compared to other units. It's very short unit, but it we have to study it with the detail here. So it will require only 3 hours for the completion. In this theory, in this cell we have to study about what is cell, what are the prokaryotic cells, what are the eukaryotic cells, and we will go through the cell theories which was given by the Scaven and Scaladian. That cell theory we have to, and we have to go through the cell organelles which are present inside the cell. We have to get the functions of every cell organelle, just like as mitochondria forms ATP, that's called as the powerhouse of the cell. Golgi apparatus is there. There is endoplasmic reticulum where the protein synthesis occurs. So we have to go with the detail of these organelles as well as the cells. After that there is cell cycle and cell division, one of the shortest unit, 2.5 hours. It will require only 2.5 hours for the completion. But one of the important units, it is very important unit for NEET, important unit for NEET. You will get 4 questions, you will get 4 MCQs in the NEET from this cell cycle. And this cell cycle, what is cell cycle, we have to study about what is cell cycle. We have to study about M phase, we have to study about significance of mitosis, then there is meiosis, and significance of meiosis. Okay, so this is very important. You will get the numericals from the cell cycle. Numericals are numerical based questions you will get from the cell cycle, and it's very important, and it's very interesting as well as important. Then there is biomolecules, and most of the students thought that why the biomolecules have been placed in this biology. It should have been placed in the chemistry. It's a unit of a chemistry, and you will find it in the 12th class chemistry, this biomolecules. Now in biomolecules it's a very lengthy unit, and that's why I have just given the 5 hours for this biomolecules. In this biomolecules we have to do the some of the analysis. Ash analysis is there. There are primary and secondary metabolites are there. Bio macromolecules are there. Proteins, we have to discuss about the polysaccharides, their structure. Protein is there, we have to discuss about the amino acids and the structure of the proteins. We have to discuss about the nucleic acids. In this nucleic acid we have to discuss about the DNA structure of the DNA. and we have to get through the living state. What is the living state? What is the dynamic state? What are enzymes? What are the what are the inhibitors of the enzymes? What are the properties of the enzymes? What is the classification of the enzymes? So this is a very lengthy unit. That's why it requires 5 hours for the completion. Then the most important unit, not most important unit, but a lengthy unit, is human physiology. And you know that after getting into the in the medical field, when you will qualify the medical examination MBA NEET, then you have to study only the human physiology. And recently the digestion and absorption has been deleted from this unit, but we will study it. It's because the questions will come from in the NEET, the questions will come from the digestion and absorption, and it will require it will require 2 to 3 hours. Okay, so these are the 7 units, these are the 7 chapters in this human physiology, and every unit requires 2 to 3 hours, 2 to 3 hours. Okay, so every unit requires 2 to 3 hours, and one of the most important is locomotion and movement. And you have found that in the previous NEET examinations, this locomotion and movement is most of the questions are coming from the human physiology, from this unit, from this chapter, locomotion and movement. Then there is chemical control and coordination, and in this unit we have to study about the hormones and the related disorders related to them, and neural coordination and control. In this we will study about the reflex sections, we will study about the brain, spinal cord, everything. Then after this, plant growth and development, very easy unit. It requires 2 hours. It's very short unit. It requires only 2 hours. In this we have to study about the growth regulators, development, differentiation and redifferentiation, photoperiodism and vernalization. Now photosynthesis in the higher plants, this is a very lengthy unit and the most important unit. So in this we will study about the photosynthesis, we will study about the early experiments done by the scientists, we will study about the pigment systems, light reaction, C4 cycle, photorespiration, and the factors affecting the photosynthesis. So it will get completed into 5 to 6 hours. Then last one is the respiration in the plants. Respiration in the plants is also important. It's a bit tricky unit. You have to go through most of the tricks, and I will share the multiple tricks regarding this respiration in the plants or any other unit which we are going to study. There are multiple tricks there, and you will enjoy those tricks. By remember through those tricks you will remember totally this the balance sheet, or the respiratory balance sheet you will remember, the glycolysis you will remember, the amphibolic or aerobic respiration you got to study here, and you will remember how the respiratory coefficient. This is important. So all this is all fun and we are going to complete it in the 70, 80 to 90 hours. The whole study plan of the biology class, 11th biology, will get completed in 80 to 90 hours. Now today's topic is simply cell cycle. Now what is a cell cycle? As we know that cell cycle is a series of the events. It's a simply series of the events. In this series of the regular events, it's a series of regular events in which the cell duplicates its genome, and finally the cell divides into two daughter cells. So cell cycle, if we have to just define the cell cycle, we can simply call the cell cycle is a series of the regular events. It's a series of the regular events which are happening inside the cell, and through these regular events which are happening inside the cell duplicates its genome. Genome means DNA. The cell duplicates its genome, doubles its DNA, and finally divides into two daughter cells, and finally the cell divides, finally the parental cell gets divided into two daughter cells. That's called as the cell cycle. Now cell cycle has been divided into two phases. One is the interphase and another the mitosis. And we know that the interphase is called as the preparation phase, and it has been divided into G1 phase, it has been divided into S phase and G2 phase. These are the three sub phases of the interphase. And then there is mitosis. Mitosis gets completed via two phases. One is karyokinesis, it is the division of nucleus, and cytokinesis, that is called as the division of cytoplasm. So division of cytoplasm is known as karyokinesis, cytoplasm, and division of nucleus is called as karyokinesis. So division of nucleus is known as karyokinesis, nucleus, division of nucleus. So division of nucleus is known as karyokinesis. And this division of nucleus, that is karyokinesis, it has four subphases: prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase. Okay, through these phases the karyokinesis gets completed, and after that there is cytokinesis. It is called as the division of cytoplasm. After this, now we we will just study what is interphase. Now we have studied so far that cell cycle is the series of the events which are happening inside the cell, and in which the cell have in which the cell duplicates its genome, and then finally cell gets divided into two daughter cells. That was called as the cell cycle. And we also in the previous slide we have studied that cell cycle is basically comprised of the two phases, interphase and interphase, and the second one is M phase. So what is interphase? Interphase is called as the preparation phase. Now why it is called as the preparation phase? Because in this phase the cell grows. And how it grows? It grows through the increase in cytoplasm, through the duplication of the organelles. In this way the cell grows. That is why it is called as the preparation phase. And I will give you a simple familiar example of this comparison, that when you have the paper tomorrow and you are preparing whole night, you are just preparing, you are just remembering, you are just revising every unit, that's called as the preparation, in order to give the paper tomorrow. And similarly the cell, in order to get divided into two daughter cells, the cell grows in size, it prepares itself, and that phase in which it prepares itself, that phase is called as the interphase. So this interphase is divided into three phases, three subphases: G1, S, and G2. Now G1 phase, it is called as the gap 1 phase. It is also known as the gap 1 phase. Okay, it is also known as the gap 1 phase. Now in this phase what is happening up? Cell grows by increase in cytoplasm. So cytoplasm synthesis occurs in the G1 phase, and we know that the cytoplasm synthesis, I can give a term to the cytoplasm synthesis, that is known as cytogenesis. Cytogenesis means cytoplasm synthesis. So in the G1 phase the cell growth occurs. How the cell growth occurs? By the growth in the cytoplasm, by the cytoplasm synthesis. And most of the cell organelles duplicate in this phase, G1 phase. And what is duplication? It is simply, this is lysosome will make its own copy. This is Golgi apparatus will form its own Xerox copy. So that's called as the duplication. And this is metabolically most active phase. Okay, G1 phase is metabolically most active phase. So this was about the interphase. Now S phase is called as the synthesis phase. Why it is known as the synthesis phase? So it's the another subphase of the this interphase. Synthesis phase it is called as. Why? Because in this phase the DNA synthesis occurs. That is called as the DNA replication occurs, and amount of DNA doubles. In this phase the amount of DNA doubles, but the chromosome number remains always same. In this phase the chromosome number remains same. And in this phase the centrosome duplication occurs. The centrosome is called as an organelle. This is a cylindrical shaped organelle, that's called a centrosome. So this centrosome, it gets duplicated, it duplicates into two pairs. Okay, and here in the DNA replication the amount of DNA doubles. That means the cell was having firstly the 2C amount of DNA, then the amount of DNA doubles and it becomes 4C, but chromosome number never doubles. Chromosome number remains always same in the S phase. Okay, then histone protein synthesis occurs. Now what are histone proteins? These are called as the coiling proteins. These are called coiling proteins. Why they are called coiling proteins? Because they help in the coiling of the DNA. So they just like this. These are the coiling proteins. These are histone protein, and this is the DNA. This is getting wrapped up. This is getting wrapped up. Okay, this is the histone proteins. So these are the histone proteins, and histone proteins makes the DNA to get coil up. Okay, it makes the DNA to get coil up. So there are 4 histone proteins: H2A, H2B, H3, and H4. So these are the 4 histone proteins. Now then there is another phase known as G2 phase. This is the last phase of the interphase, G2 phase. It is called as the gap 2 phase. It's called as gap 2 phase. Now in the gap 2 phase the mitochondria and chloroplast duplicates. Most of the organelles duplicate in the G1 phase, but only the mitochondria and chloroplast they duplicate in the G2 phase. And also there is synthesis of spindle proteins. Now what are spindle proteins? These are those proteins which form the spindle apparatus of cell cycle. Now this is called as the spindle apparatus, this is called as the spindle. So this spindle is formed by the spindle proteins. Okay, this is the very important important structure in the cell cycle. These spindles help in the separation of the chromosomes. Okay, then there is cytoplasm synthesis. Cytoplasm synthesis also occurs in the G2 phase. So cytoplasm synthesis is a continuous process which is happening in the cell cycle. Then after the interphase gets completed, then there is M phase. Now M phase is called actual division phase because in this phase actually the cell divides into two daughter cells. So the formation of two daughter cells occurs inside the M phase. Okay, and this M phase occurs via two phases. One is called karyokinesis, that is called as the nuclear division, and cytokinesis, which is called as the cytoplasm division. Now karyokinesis, it is a division of nucleus and it has four subphases: prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase. And then that is cytokinesis, that is division of cytoplasm. In plants, the cytokinesis occurs through the cell palate formation. For example, this is a plant cell, and when the plant cell cytoplasm will divide, it will divide like this. There will be the formation of a partition at the middle of the cell, that's called a cell palate, and through the cell palate formation the cell will give rise to two daughter cells, that's called as a cell palate formation. And in animal cells the cytokinesis occurs via furrow formation. The cell membrane develops a furrow, and that leads to the separation of the cytoplasm between the two cells. Okay, this is called a cell furrow formation. Hope you have understood this whole topic today, and wish you all the best and stay safe and take care.